Revealed, the sinister secrets of a haunted oil rig in the Gulf that cursed 13 lives. The winds howled like lost souls as the storm drew near, but it wasn't the weather that sent chills down Ana Ramirez's spine. It was them, the 13 men standing outside her diner, La Isla, their shadows flickering against the dim streetlights like ghosts from a past no one dared to remember. The oil rig off the coast had long been whispered about in hushed tones, a place where men had vanished, swallowed whole by the sea after a catastrophic accident. Locals said those who died there were cursed, and now, here they stood, the cursed ones themselves. Panic fluttered in Anna's chest as she glanced at the growing crowd inside her diner. Customers exchanged nervous laughter, the kind that masks dread. "Did you hear the latest about the storm?" someone said, but the laughter faded when the weight of the men's presence settled in. They watched her through the glass, their eyes dark and inscrutable, as if they could see through to her very soul. The air was thick with tension, and the sizzling sounds of frying fish suddenly felt like an eerie backdrop to their looming intensity. Outside, the rain began to fall, spilling relentlessly from the skies. A nervous energy crackled in the air as the barometer dropped. She had heard her aunt's stories about the workers, 13 men who had lost their lives. Did they really ever leave? But it was the whispered foreign language among the newcomers that sent her heart racing. It hinted at secrets buried deep, fragments of lives intertwined with darkness. "Why are they here?" she muttered to herself, wiping sweaty palms on her apron. As the storm closed in, the lights began to flicker. "You need to let them in, Anna," whispered Marcus, a regular with a deep-set frown. The urge to protect her children, who were huddled close by, pulsed in her veins. "You have no idea what's coming." But what did he know? Her instincts screamed danger as the tension outside began to seep in, suffocating the atmosphere inside. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The wind howled louder, rattling the diner windows. Patrons glanced at the door nervously, and Anna felt a cold sweat form on her brow. Whispers of betrayal echoed in her ears, drowning out the familiar sounds of her diner. That eerie feeling of dread clawed at her insides, and when she heard one of the men call her aunt's name, all color drained from her face. It was no coincidence, the past was reaching out to her, pulling her back to the dark corners of her memory. Another crash came from outside, sending ice coursing through her veins. Fear gripped her, but more gripping was the realization that the storm outside was nothing compared to the danger lurking just beyond the walls of La Isla. Their eyes, those haunted, desperate eyes, they were not just seeking refuge, they were on a hunt and she was their prey. As the storm raged on, a chilling question loomed in the silence: was she about to face the wrath of the cursed, or was she already too late? The door rattled violently, shaking as if something on the other side demanded entry. Anna's heart thundered in her chest. She peered back at the 13 men, their faces illuminated by flashes of forked lightning. The air was electrifying, it hinted at more than just a storm. Anna's breath came in sharp gasps, and the din of her diner's murmurs drowned out the growing tempest outside. The cursed spirits were close. "Don't open it," Marcus's voice was low but urgent, eyes darting to the window. "They're not here for shelter." "Then what do they want?" she hissed, glancing at her 2 children, who clutched each other, eyes wide and fearful. They sensed the encroaching dread like a dog senses a storm. The shadows shifted outside, and Anna's instinct to defend her family surged. As she gripped the edge of the counter, a soft knock broke through the urgent murmurs inside La Isla. It was quiet at first, barely there, until it crescendoed into frantic pounding. The thuds echoed in a rhythm that felt almost like a heartbeat, steady and ominous. "Let them in," one of the patrons shouted, panic lacing his voice. "What if they're no?" Anna snapped, her voice shaking. clenching her fists. "I want to let them in." In that moment, the room fell silent, every eye turned toward her. It felt like everyone was holding their breath. The knock came again, louder this time, synchronized with another bolt of lightning. She felt the pressure of their expectation like a vice around her chest. "Do you think they'll just walk away?" Marcus whispered, leaning in closer. "They will not leave until they get what they want. You must decide." This was a nightmare. The ghost stories, her aunt's warnings, this anguish wasn't just folklore. The spirits of the 13 were seeking something from her, wanting a retribution that only she could provide. Without thinking, she turned toward the door, the old wood creaking ominously under the weight of supernatural tension. "Mom, don't." Her son's plea sliced through the tension like a knife, but she was already moving closer. Curiosity battled fear inside her like a raging storm, the temptation to discover the truth sparking her flesh. As her hand reached for the handle, the air shifted. A chill breeze wafted through the diner, stealing warmth. Gritting her teeth, she paused, letting the cold settle over her skin. Every hair on her body stood on end, as if warning her to turn back. Then she heard it, a voice rising above the storm. A whisper that echoed through the veil of reality, unveiling dark memories. "Anna, it's time to remember." The flickering lights dimmed further, stretching shadows over her patrons, who looked stricken. The shadows seemed to pulse, hammering against boundaries. "What do they want from me?" she whispered in a tremor, glancing back toward the men who now stood perfectly still, their gazes locked on her. Everything felt surreal. The boundaries of time and space blurred, and she could almost feel the weight of the sea upon her shoulders. Those men, they were not just lost souls, they were her connection to the dark legacy of the oil rig, to her aunt, and to answers that had been buried. The pounding intensified, and suddenly, the door exploded inward, flinging wood splinters across the room. Thunder crashed, drowning out the screams rising in her throat. There they stood, drenched and imposing, eyes ablaze with a hunger that froze the blood in her veins. "Come with us," one echoed, voice deep and hollow. "It's time you learn the truth." Anna's heart raced. What truth could be so devastating that it propelled the dead back to life, back to her? And just like that, the storm wasn't the real threat, the real terror was waiting on the other side, calling her name, drawing her into darkness. Would she walk willingly into the abyss or fight to stay above the waves? As the din around her erupted in chaos, she felt her grip on reality fray. The choice sat heavy on her shoulders. What awaited her? Would she reclaim the past, or would it consume her whole? Anna's heart skidded in her chest as she faced the figures before her. Their pale, ghostly skin shimmered in the lightning flashes, remnants of lives lost but undeniably voracious. Panic engulfed the diner, the patrons screaming and scrambling, desperate to get away from the door, the threshold to the unknown. "Get back!" Marcus shouted, wrestling his way between Anna and the specters. His fear was palpable, a desperate energy fueling his movements. They can't be trusted. But it was too late. The spirits swirled into the diner, a chilling mist trailing them like smoke. They reached for her with skeletal fingers, voices intertwined in a deadly symphony. Anna, they beckoned, the single plea filled with anguish. "Remember for us." She stumbled backward, heart pounding against her ribcage like a caged animal. Her children were still huddled together, too terrified to move. "Mom!" her daughter cried, wailing as the atmosphere thickened, the stench of brine and decay settling over them like a shroud. "What do you want?" Anna yelled, feeling the walls closing in. "Why are you here?" The wordless chorus grew louder, drowning out her fears momentarily. Fragments of words began to emerge with horrifying clarity. "Betrayal, sacrifice, blood, they want vengeance." Marcus cried, his face white as the moonlight filtering through the windows. "They want what was taken." The memories crashed into Anna like relentless waves. The oil rig, the whispers of her aunt, the dark secret buried deep in the gulf. She gripped the counter, grounding herself as doubt and regret clawed inside. No, I 1T. I can't. Denial 1T save you. A specter stepped closer, its hollow eyes boring into hers. Your lineage calls for justice, Anna. We demand it. The chaos around her surged, furniture scraping, bodies colliding. Shadowed faces of the men twisted in rage and desperation. They wanted her, but for what? The truth seethed beneath the surface, swirling like the storm outside. A pulse of raw energy rippled through the diner, sending a shiver down her spine. Mom, please. Her son's voice trembled, the innocence in his plea cutting deeper than any scream. He stepped closer, positioning himself protectively in front of his sister. Don't listen to them. Leave us alone. Anna shouted, gathering the remnants of her courage. She could feel the weight of ancestral burdens, the gnawing need to confront the horrors of her bloodline. Would she break the cycle or submit to it? Your choice, the spectre hissed, an icy smile cracking through its visage. Revisit your past, or let it consume you whole. With a swift motion, the wind picked up, rattling windows and whipping through the diner, creating a cyclone of fear. The lights flickered, moments suspended in time, a barrier between her world and theirs, wavering. Anna's mind raced. She could feel the memories clamoring for release, desperate to resurface. The memories of her aunt's sobs and the oil gushing under the waves. Her heart pounded as she realized she needed to confront her family's sins, expose the darkness chained to her. But could she bear it? Follow us, they beckoned softly, chillingly. We will show you. Before she could stop herself, Anna took a step forward, caught in a moment of indecision, a siren call echoing with haunting familiarity. Would she step into the abyss of her past, or could she thwart the shade seeking retribution? The storm outside roared louder, vibrating through her very bones, as the ground began to tremble beneath her feet. Suddenly, the diner doors slammed shut behind her, sealing her fate. Stay with us, Anna, echoed the spirits, hovering closer, shadows swirling like angry tides around her. You cannot escape what is yours. What lay behind the veil of shadows? What fate awaited her on the other side of recollection? The room spun with confusion, and Anna's grip on herself tore like wet paper. Anna's breath hitched as the air filled with nostalgia and dread. The spirits closed in on her, their ghastly forms pulsating with urgency. Each translucent figure carried an echo of her past, faces warped and twisted by betrayal. She could see their mouths moving, but the words were lost in the howling wind. Stop! Marcus yelled, his voice breaking through the cacophony. He took a step toward the children, shielding them with his body. Get away from her. Anna's heart sank. She felt the truth scrabbling at the edges of her mind. The ghosts, the memories she had both denied and feared them for so long. And yet, here they were, demanding she finally acknowledge what had been buried for decades. Remember, the specters whispered, intertwining their fingers with the air. Remember the oil, the sacrifice. Stop it. Her voice came out as a gasp, a plea to leave the shadows behind. Shadows that weighed heavy with history, secrets that could not stay buried any longer. Yet the forces around her pressed closer, looking not just to frighten her but to pull her into their storm. She could feel the sweet stench of decay, mingled with sea air, suffocating her through the stinging fog. Panic surged within her. Was this what her life had become? Torn between the safety of ignorance and the ruthless quest for truth. Mom! Her son cried, pulling at her shirt. Don't listen to them. They're not real. But his wide eyes betrayed him. Even he could feel the weight of the spirits. We are as real as your blood, a figure snarled, the words both a promise and a threat. Its eyes burned like embers in a dying fire. We will end this cycle with you. The lights flickered again, and for a fleeting moment, Anna could see beyond the dining room. A reflection of truth began to emerge against the shadowy remnants. An image stirred within her, a distant memory of a younger Anna standing upon oil-stained shores, the cries of her ancestors ringing in her ears, warning against the sins of their past. No! She cried, clenching her fists as the memories threatened to overwhelm her. You don't own me. I am not part of your darkness. The air thickened, and the specters swayed, their forms twisting like dark waves crashing on the rocks. The walls of the diner began to tremble, dust cascading from the ceiling. A low rumble echoed, as if the very foundation was reliving its own horror. Tables and chairs shook violently, adding to the chaos, making the detachment between the living and the dead more palpable. Face us. One ghost moaned, its voice drowning in sorrow yet laced with malice. Face the truth of your past. It is your destiny to reclaim what you abandoned. The trembling around her intensified, as flashes of lightning illuminated gruesome sights, visions of the oil rig wreathed in death, shadows of those consumed by greed, unable to escape the consequences of their actions. The revelation crashed down upon her, and Anna fell backward, her past pulling her like a riptide, her heart raced, raw and unrelenting, pounding with her blood's urgency. Faces of the lost drifted closer, merging with the storm raging around her inside the diner. They wanted her to remember, but the truth felt like a noose tightening, constricting her thoughts, taunting her. Choose. The specters cried, a deafening command that reverberated through her very bones. The air shimmered, thickening as if the walls themselves cried out. Anna's world was collapsing, and just as she believed she would be swallowed whole, determination surged within her. No more. She shouted, summoning whatever strength remained. But the specters circled, their power unfurling a trap woven from her lineage. How much of their torment was still entwined within her? Her decision would shatter the darkness surrounding them. Would she stand against it or surrender to its relentless embrace? Suddenly, the ground lurched violently, sending her falling to the floor. The last thing she heard was the echoes of her children shrieking, "Mom!" before the diner erupted in a blinding flash. In that moment, as the light enveloped her, Anna understood the specters had one more revelation, one that could bind them all, even in their tragedy, but what it was, she could not yet fathom. What awaited her on the other side of the veil. Would she find the key to peace, or face the horror of unearthing more than just the sins of her family? Bright light enveloped Anna, blinding her with a searing intensity that felt like being burned alive. Shouts faded into whispers, replaced by an oppressive silence. Her eyes fluttered open to find herself lying on the cold, wet ground, no longer in the diner, but somewhere far more sinister. The air was thick with salt and rot, clinging to her skin like a funeral shroud. Shadows danced at the edges of her vision. She tried to rise, but her body felt heavy, as if the memories of her past were holding her down. The sound of waves crashed rhythmically against jagged rocks, an ominous percussion that echoed the heartbeat of the night. "Mom!" A small voice called from the darkness. It was Marcus. "Where are you?" "Anna. Can you hear me?" Another voice, gruff yet familiar. It was her husband's tone, frantic and close. "Here. I'm here." She struggled, finally pushing herself up. As her vision adjusted, she realized they stood on the very shores she had tried to forget, the grimy, oil-stained sands, the place where horror and history collided. Figures emerged from the darkness, ghostly shadows lit by flickering lanterns that cast long, skeletal silhouettes. They were the spirits of those lost, their mouths moving silently, entrapped in their eternal longing. The air felt electric, heavy with their presence, and Anna's heart pounded like a war drum. "Don't listen to them," Marcus shouted, inching closer to her, clutching his sister tightly to his side. "They want to trap us here." "No," she yelled, fear clawing at her throat. "They need us to remember." With each haunting face she recognized the once vibrant lives now turned to whispers of despair. Anna felt a sickening realization. This was the place where the deal had been made, the fateful choice that led to their doom. Suddenly, the ground trembled again. A low growl resonated beneath them. The waves crashed harder, spraying salt and seaweed across their faces. "You must answer for what you've done," a ghostly figure rasped, its voice like iron scraping against stone. A woman with hollow eyes and a mouth filled with anguish looked directly at Anna, as if piercing through to her very soul. Who are you? Anna whimpered, caught between willingness to confront her past and paralyzing terror. The apparition reached out a skeletal hand. We were the watchmen guardians of the cursed oil. You abandoned us, and now the cycle repeats. You must choose again. What do you want from me? Anna cried, panic tightening her chest. I cannot change the past. I don't even know the truth. In ignorance lies your imprisonment. The woman shrieked, and the others murmured in agreement, their voices swirling like a tempest. To break free, you must face what lies deep beneath. Anna's breath hitched as the realization hit she needed to descend into the depths of the ocean, to the sunken wreck of the cursed oil rig where the truth, and the souls, lingered. But how could she abandon her family again? Mom, please. Marcus begged, tears streaming down his face. Don't leave us. His voice cracked, a sound wrapped in desperation. It shattered the very foundation of Anna's resolve. The swirling spirits drew closer, their faces morphing into deep frowns of disappointment. You cannot escape both worlds. Choose. Will you seek your truth or remain shackled to your family's fate? Anna was torn. The pull to return to her children, to shield them from this horror, clashed with the urge to confront the ghosts of her past. The moment stretched painfully, quaking with tension, as the crashing waves echoed the conflict within her. She gazed into the depths of the abyss, the dark waters swirling like the memories beneath. What awaited her there? What horrors would she uncover? The choice loomed before her, and truth's price was steep. Would she sink into the darkness to reclaim what was lost, or retreat to the safety of denial, leaving her family in a curse from which they may never escape? With the wind howling all around, the ghosts reached out with lingering hands, their touch both a warning and an invitation. Anna's heart raced, she was running out of time deep. Down in the darkness, would she find redemption, or face the worst fear of all, never knowing the truth? The waves crashed violently against the rocks, spraying Anna with icy seawater that seemed to mock her indecision. Her heart thundered in her chest as the spirits encircled her, their hollow eyes urging her to make a choice. They wanted her to pay the price for a past she could barely remember, but how could she willingly plunge into the darkness of the ocean? Mom! Marcus cried, his voice cracking as he clutched his sister tighter, their small forms silhouetted against the stormy sky. You can't leave us. Please. Her heart twisted painfully. What if she did choose to go? What would it mean for her children? She was supposed to protect them, not abandon them to the whims of specters. But those faces, twisted in agony and longing, she owed it to them to at least uncover their truth. Gritting her teeth, she took a step towards the water. I need to know. She shouted, her voice barely audible over the roar of the ocean. The spirits surged forward, their eyes lighting with a flicker of hope. Join us. Let the depths reveal the sins of the past. The ghostly woman's voice burrowed into Anna's mind, poignant and desperate. As Anna's feet grazed the water's edge, a surge of cold seeped into her bones, chilling her resolve. Mom, no Don-T dash. Marcus's plea faded into the cacophony around her. She had to push through the fear that clawed at her insides, the urge to turn back. What awaited her down there? A chance for forgiveness or another taste of terror? The spirits watched, eyes gleaming with a morbid anticipation. The ground quaked again, and Anna stumbled forward, the water lapping at her ankles. It felt alive, grasping, hungry. The currents pooled around her, whispering promises and secrets. Just as she took another step, the wave curled, pulling her deeper. She reached out instinctively, but it wasn't enough. A force beyond her control yanked her into the dark embrace of the sea. The world spun, a whirl of salt and shadow. Panic surged through her. She kicked frantically, gasping for breath, but the pressure closed in, dragging her into the abyss. Voices echoed through the water, muffled yet clear. Face us, remember the truth must be uncovered. Frantically, Anna fought against the weight of the ocean enveloping her, clawing her way upward. Her chest burned, and darkness clawed at her vision. Suddenly, a light flickered in the distance, beckoning her through the depths, shimmering like a beacon through the ink. With raw desperation, she surged toward it, the ghost screams melding with the roar of the ocean. When she finally surfaced, gasping for breath, Anna found herself inside a dimly lit chamber, swallowed by the echoes of the past. Faded photographs adorned the damp walls, their figures gazing back at her as if waiting for her to remember. The air smelled of rust and sorrow, a suffocating reminder of what was lost. "Welcome back to where it began," a voice growled, deep and resonant. The spirit of a man loomed before her, eyes aflame with resentment. "Are you ready to face the curse?" Anna's heart raced, fear clawing its way back into her throat. "What curse?" she gasped, instinctively backing away. "No escape," he murmured, a grin spreading across his spectral face. "Only the truth, and truth demands sacrifice." As horror filled the chamber, black waves roiling beyond the walls, Anna felt herself trapped, tangled in a web of regret. The choice had been made, the truth awaited her, but at what cost? Would the answer save her family, or would it doom them all? And as the spectral figure reached toward her, claws extended and eyes blazing, Anna's scream echoed through the chamber, swallowed by the echoes of the ocean as darkness closed in again. What more would she have to lose in order to uncover the truth, the dead still whispering their lament? Anna's heart pounded like a war drum in her chest as the room shivered with unspoken fears. She instinctively recoiled from the figure looming before her, the deep-set eyes filled with a wrath she could almost touch. The flickering light danced off the wave-lashed walls, illuminating scenes of joy turned to agony. Each image trapped a moment, families laughing, lovers embracing, now marred by the tragedy that loomed large in the air. "Sacrifice," she whispered, the word tasting like ash on her tongue. The spirit stepped closer, twisting shadows flaring around him. "They paid the price for your ignorance," he hissed, voice rumbling like thunder. "You cannot change your past without facing it. Will you take their place?" Images of her children flashed in her mind, their innocent faces, their laughter echoing in her heart. "No. I won't abandon them. I can't." The spirit laughed, low and cold. "Abandonment is built into your blood. Do you not feel it? Their lives depend on your truth. Your fear only binds them deeper into the dark." Anna's breath quickened, panic surging through her veins. The chamber felt smaller, the walls encroaching as if alive, pushing her backwards. "What do you want from me?" "Remember," he demanded. "The truth must flow, just like the blood that's shed for you. Give me a piece of your past and you shall save them." Triumph flickered in his eyes as realization struck Anna like a physical blow. There were pieces of her forgotten childhood, threads woven into the fabric of her family's tragedy, a story of betrayal and despair. She had buried it deep, trying to escape. Now it clawed its way back, demanding recognition. "Tell me what you remember," he urged, the shadows swirling like a tempest. "A fire." Anna stammered, each word forced past a choke of clawing despair. "It was always about the fire. The oil rig, the explosion, 13 souls lost, so much pain." She never truly understood. Her family had always whispered about it, making her shy away from the truth. The way the dead haunted the edges of her memory, images flickering behind her eyes, the spirit's eyes narrowed, glistening with a predatory satisfaction. "Do you see now? It is the fire that wants to consume you. To find peace, you must be part of their sacrifice." "But I refuse." Her voice faltered, with each breath dragging up memories she wished to forget. The chamber shook violently, and the spirits howled around her. "Face them." Their cries shrieked, a tempest of anguish intertwining with her own terror. The walls pulsed with the heat of the fire that begged to be remembered, the lingering echoes of betrayal and despair spiraling around her. Then, a familiar voice cut through the chaos. "Mom! Help us!" It was Marcus. The sound propelled her to the brink, the horror of losing him making the pain of her memories feel like a sharp knife. Anna stepped back, but this time, she stood firm, defiance igniting within her. "Tell me everything," she shouted at the spirit, drawing strength from the love for her children. I will not let their lives be forfeit in this cursed place. A heartbeat of silence followed, the air thick with tension. The spirit recoiled, rage flashing across his face. So be it. The price will be paid, but not as you think. The darkness surged, and the walls began to split, a tumultuous rift revealing glimpses of the cursed oil rig, the ghosts of the past reaching for her. Anna felt the pull of the currents, the choice hanging heavily in the air. What will you sacrifice, Anna? The spirit growled, the threat coating his words, each syllable a prelude to the horror that awaited her. As the chamber spiraled into chaos, she knew one truth remained: there was no escaping the cost of the past, and now, she had to confront it head-on. Her children's voices dwindled into the abyss as visions of fire and sorrow loomed before her. Would facing the truth save them or lead to their doom? A jagged crack of flame erupted from within the depths, scorching her senses. And before she could process, the world around her began to fade. Are you ready to pay the price? The spirit bellowed, grinning ominously. The darkness and fire beckoned, stark against the memories clawing at her mind. Could she uncover the truth, or would she lose everything? Anna felt herself being pulled downward, as if gravity itself had twisted into a cruel joke. The fire danced before her, eager flames licking upwards, taunting her with memories she wished to escape. She was drowning in shadow and flame, her mind rattling like a caged bird. The spirit's grin widened, revealing teeth that seemed sharper than any mortal's. Embrace it, he said, his voice echoing ominously. Let it all recall there's power in pain, Anna. The rift expanded, revealing glimpses of the oil rig, wreathed in plumes of black smoke. A cacophony of agonized screams filled her ears, the voices of the lost, men, women, and the once vibrant colors of life turned to shades of gray. Each image danced flippantly before her eyes, merging into chaos. She could see Marcus, his face pale and panicked, as if he too sensed the weight of the past closing in around them. No! Anna screamed, the heat pressed against her skin, the scent of singed flesh and burning oil fading into a memory that wasn't hers. I won't give in. But the spirit howled in laughter, each echo reverberating through her bones. You do not understand. You live because they died. To save your children, you must ignite the flames. A sacrifice, Anna. Visions surged, swirling between the collapsing walls. Faces flashed by laborers in orange vests, their smiles morphing into grimaces of terror. The fiery inferno of the explosion, the fear, the cries, they clawed at her psyche like hungry wolves. She was teetering on the edge, caught between reality and despair. Remember. Remember the night of the fire. The spirit roared, pushing her further into the past. Anna was thrust back to that fateful evening. She stood outside, a child again, as her family anxiously huddled around a small black and white TV. Newsbreaking of disasters, flashing images of the rig collapsing, chaos and fire. In her child's mind, it had always been a story of tragedy, muffled by adult whispers and veiled glances. Why didn't I ask more? She thought, terror gripping her heart as despair flooded back. Why did I stay away? Because you knew the truth would bind you, he spat, leaning closer, the shadows coiling around him like serpents. You hid from it, but now it is time to face your sin. The ground shook beneath her. The chamber shook violently again, it felt as if the earth itself was rebelling. She felt an unmistakable pang, an unnerving pang, as if the flames were breathing down her neck. Marcus! She shouted, desperately hoping he could hear her. Hold on. I'm coming. Mom! His voice echoed again, distant yet closer, calling her into the spiral of darkness. In the depths of her being, flashbacks tortured her, flooding her with guilt. The sound of sirens, the thick haze of smoke wrapping around her fragile consciousness. She was too young then, but now she bore the weight, the real truth that lingered precariously, like blood-stained memories refusing to fade. Anna, the spirit urged, what will you sacrifice? She felt the fire surge, racing forward, igniting the echoes of a forgotten battle. The beckoning shadows wrapped around her, but her defiance surged anew. No! She yelled, the rawness in her throat burning. I will find a way to save them without spilling more blood. But as her voice echoed into the churning darkness, she felt the heat intensify, closing in on her like a predator ready to strike. Her heart raced, and she knew what was at stake. The sacrifices of those 13 souls still loomed like a cloud over her family. Would it consume another? Then she felt it. A sudden icy grip around her ankle, pulling her back into the abyss. The realization crashed over her like a wave. Facing the past was no mere act of courage, it was a perilous journey that demanded everything. As she clawed at the air, fighting the darkness that sought to drag her under, a stark silence fell. And with it came a chilling whisper, wrapping around her heart like barbed wire. Will you become the next sacrifice? The moment hung in the air, laden with terror, as she struggled against the force of the spirit's grip. Would she be the final link in a chain formed by grief, or could she break free? In that suspended instant, hope flickered dimly. Maybe the truth could be her weapon, not her chains. But the fire raged all around her, urging her to succumb as the darkness whispered in 1,000 voices. What will you choose, Anna? The spirit demanded, voice dripping with malice, and then, the world erupted in flames again. The choice was hers, or was it already made for her? The flames roared, enveloping Anna like a thick blanket of despair. Her heart raced, a wild drum echoing against the unrelenting chaos. Holding on to the fleeting threads of her defiance, she fought against the grasp of the spirit, teeth gritted, breath heaving. Let go of me! She shouted, the words raw and desperate. Each syllable felt like a spark, igniting her will against the dark. But the spirit only laughed, a sound that ricocheted through the shadows. You cannot resist what you have denied for so long, Anna. Their screams ring in your ears, but you choose silence. You've always chosen silence. Suddenly, the rift spat her out, flinging her into a void of smoke and swirling embers, the oil rig looming like an ominous specter against the hellish sky. She landed hard, pain shooting up her spine, but she shook it off. There wasn't time for weakness. Marcus's voice still echoed, a haunting plea that propelled her forward. Mom! Help me! She stumbled to her feet, blinking against the searing heat and the blinding glow of the flames. In her mind, those screams bled into one another, a cacophony of loss and regret. She had to find him. He was here somewhere, tangled within this nightmare. Marcus! Her voice cracked, but she pushed through the haze, eyes darting through the wreckage. She could make out figures in the distance, shadows running, twisted and anguished. Were they the workers? The ones who had screamed in agony? Were they lost souls begging for release? A chill enveloped her, deeper than the heat of the fire. They turned toward her, hollow eyes glassy and empty. Pleas for help twisted through their parched lips, but the words were lost in the flames surrounding them. One figure stepped forward, a face half melted, his burnt flesh glistening like salt under the blaze. You need to listen. He rasped, each breath a tortured gasp. The truth is worse than the fire. You can't save him unless no. She yelled, clenching her fists as panic seized her chest. You won't take him. It's not his time. The spirit loomed again, a smirk plastered across his twisted features. Every moment you delay, he slips away. To reclaim what was lost, you must sacrifice your truth, Anna. Would you barter justice for one life? Not like this. She trembled, her body vibrating between fear and determination. I'll protect him. I can make it right. With every word, the spirit's laughter grew louder, more cacophonous, rising above the cries of the damned, each laugh like a dagger striking her resolve. You can't escape, Anna. He is tethered to the past just like you. The earth quaked beneath her, and the flames shifted, revealing a path etched in fire leading directly to Marcus. Her heart seized in her chest. Was this an illusion? A cruel trick? Mom! His voice, clearer now, rang through the chaos, grounding her. Fear surged within, but his connection filled her with a fierce urgency. As she sprinted down the fiery corridor, every instinct screamed that she'd have to confront the spirit's intentions. The heat clawed at her skin, the rippling shadows reached out to pull her back, but she blurred forward, determination sharp as glass, and just before her outstretched hands could grasp at the nightmare, the ground splintered. A roaring void opened, swallowing the path behind her. Her heart dropped as the world around her warped into a vortex of fire and despair. Choose, Anna. The spirit howled, the walls trembling with his fury. Is your son worth the truth? Face your demons, or they will consume you both. Caught at the edge of that infernal chasm, she stared into the darkness where the flames twisted like serpents. She had to make a choice. And as the flames surged, a chilling whisper slithered into her ear, one truth to bind them all, one sacrifice to save your son. Her heart raced, pounding not just for survival, but for freedom too. Could she unearth the buried secrets and still save Marcus? What's it going to be? She simmered in desperation, caught between the devil and the deep sea. And above the chorus of screams, amidst the crackling fire, a voice, familiar and sweet, whispered back. Help me, Mom. She felt the pull of the darkness, felt its icy breath against her neck. She was still standing on the precipice of choice, but a more profound question lingered now. Could she face whatever truth awaited her? With one last desperate breath, she stepped forward into the shadows and everything exploded in a fury of pain and brilliance. The choice was no longer hers to make. But what awaited her in that darkness was still a mystery. Anna's world erupted around her in a firestorm of agony and light. The flames roared and twisted, the cacophony of the past crashing into her present. She was thrown back into memories too painful to confront, yet she could not escape them. Were they haunting her, or was she ready to confront them for both her sake and her son's? Help me, Mom. Marcus's voice echoed through the chaos, crystalline and desperate amidst the inferno. With every fiber of her being, she leapt forward, navigating through hellfire, propelled by love and fear. The spirit loomed, a dark shadow against the raging flames. You cannot escape your past, Anna. They crave your truth. In exchange, you may save the boy. He pointed a skeletal finger toward the swirling vortex of flames that had claimed so many lives before. Fear gripped her heart tighter than ever. I refuse to sacrifice my son. Not again. Panic surged through her, she could feel the tendrils of despair tightening like a vice. The specters of those lost cried out, their anguish turning the heat palpable. In ignorance, your family has suffered, and for that ignorance, they are bound. The spirit roared, its voice laced with malevolence. To be free, something must be sacrificed. No more. Adrenaline surged through her veins as she fought anger and fear. I can stop this, she bristled, the determination echoing in her voice, drowning out the wails of regret. She would refuse to let this darkness claim her or her children any longer. Mom. The urgency in Marcus's voice spurred her on. The images around her twisted into a vision of the oil rig, flames licking at souls, the very memory of betrayal burning deep within. She could see her family, huddled close, their love wrapped tightly over the years in tales of loss. They'd hidden in shadows, but today she was ready to chase the truth with a head-on collision. In her mind, she heard the whispered echoes from her childhood, her aunt warning against forgetting the past. Clutching onto that memory, she squared her shoulders, anger blending with courage. I will remember. I'll face what was lost. Her voice fought the infernal noise, rising above the din of anguish clawing for her submission. A hush fell upon the flames, a moment of stunned stillness before the storm returned. The spirit's eyes glowed with fury, then witness. You want to remember? Fine. Relive it. The heat intensified as fiery scenes played out before her, like a warped movie reel of sorrow. Anna gasped, choking on the memories. She saw the day her family had gathered, anxiety palpable as they waited for news about the rig. She saw the shift in faces, the horror reflecting in their eyes as reality sank in. 13 lives lost. Faces blurred together, but the agony remained. For generations, her family had carried a secret, a denial of sorrow. By refusing to confront it, they had allowed darkness to cling to their lineage. No more. She shouted, fury igniting her courage. I take that weight. I will carry it. The spectre recoiled, her words reverberated through the chamber, shaking its foundation. To take their pain is to invite it into your blood, the spirit hissed. Their screams shall now be your own. Do you dare? Please. Just let him go. She pleaded, and the ground quaked, merging fear with valiant hope. In the chaos, she spotted Marcus, pale and panicked but steady. Her heart raced, she could not afford to lose him again. This was her tether to the living. With steely determination, she stepped toward the spirit. I will face whatever is necessary. I will carry their stories. Let me learn their truths, and I will fight for my family. The wild intensity of the flames roared into a crescendo, merging with the anguished howls of the lost. The spirit's shadows wrapped tightly around her, chilling her resolve but igniting a fire in her heart. Then recognize this truth, Anna, the cycle cannot be broken without sacrifice. Its words thundered, each syllable sharp as shards of glass. A beat of silence followed, the air hanging heavy with tension. Anna braced herself, eyes wide as dread coiled around her heart. What must I give? It is not what you lose that matters, but what you are willing to remember, the spirit hissed, an eerie calm pouring from its presence, more heat pooled around her, swirling like a tempest, and then, all at once, something inside her softened. A sudden vision hit her, her children's faces smiling, their laughter ringing throughout La Isla and in every corner of her life. She knew the truth now, the burden of memory, the cost of love could shatter chains. I remember. I will not carry your chains, but I will share your sorrow and your love, Anna proclaimed. I will bear your weight, but this time it will lead me to healing, not death. The wails around her grew fainter, the shadows receding as light began to bend through the chaos. The spirit contorted, enraged. No. You must pay a price. I pay with love for my family that lives. For them I will face the truth and redeem their memories. As her declaration filled the space, the darkness began to fracture, and the flames dimmed into flickering shadows. She felt a surge of warmth envelop her and a familiar strength from within too, not just the weight of sorrow. Let it go, she whispered, and just like that, the spectre stumbled backward, eyes wide in disbelief. Let them be free. At once, a wave of light crashed around her, a force more powerful than the pull of darkness. The ghosts of the damned floated toward her, faces serene as the reality of the truth broke through the murky mist of guilt and grief. They were fading, releasing her family from their grips. Marcus! She cried out, the warmth surging ever more as the storm outside muted in cadence. I'm here. He appeared beside her, heart pounding, eyes wide with relief. She reached for him, pulling him close as the ghostly figures exchanged their sorrow for peace, whispers fading as they sailed into the light. They were free. Stay with us, Marcus. I will protect you. As they turned to the receding darkness, Anna felt her burdens melt, uncovering history buried for too long, tinged with understanding and love. Perhaps the cost had been steep, but the memories lived not in despair, but the reclamation of truth. Together they stepped back from the shadows as the flames faded into glimmers, and the spirit's voice trembled in the dusk, you have chosen correctly. As dawn broke, and soft light flooded the shores, liberation washed over Anna. Together, they could face whatever lay ahead, embracing the truth, navigating the waters of hope. And with that, Anna felt the first glimmer of a new beginning. Now, before you go, let me remind you, if you enjoyed this thrilling conclusion, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss our next exclusive story. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and show your support, flood the comment section with your reactions and theories about this wild ride, and don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this powerful ending. This is the moment to rally behind us. Let us build this community together. Come on.